Hello, this is OverlordBou, back with another ship review video, and today we'll be looking at the new Tier 10 German battleship, the Mecklenburg. Now, you'll be able to get the Mecklenburg for 31,000 steel in the upcoming 11.4 update. Now, the ship is still work in progress, while you see this work in progress on the top left of the screen, until the update, which will be final, and the ship will become final with the release of the 11.4 update coming in a few days. The reason why is because the reload is being changed from 25 seconds to 26 seconds, which doesn't really change my stance on the ship. It's not really that major of a change, so I would still highly recommend this ship, and I'll go over why in the video. Now, let's go into the build. Now, the build will be shown on the top right. I would build this ship more on focusing on the guns. Now, you are able to build into the secondary build if you'd like, but due to the ship's lower HP pool, I wouldn't really recommend building into the secondaries fully if you are going to. Instead of manual secondaries, I would take close quarters instead, but if you'd like, you are able to you are able to build a secondary build if you'd like, but again, the main guns are the strong point of this ship and not the secondaries, so just putting that into account there. Now, let's move into the armor and survivability. So the ship has 85,800 HP pool. The armor scheme is shown on the top right. The ship has a 32mm bow/stern with a 70mm icebreaker bow. The deck is 50mm with a 50mm upper side armor plate. It does have a waterline citadel, which is fairly well protected with the signature German turtleback armor. The ship also has a 27% torpedo defense system. The Mecklenburg's durability is surprisingly just average for her tier. Similar to other German BBs, she is well armored with an icebreaker bow and 50mm deck armor. Only cruisers with improved HE pen can get through her deck armor. Her citadel is also well protected, typical of German BBs with their turtleback armors. Her main drawback is her mediocre HP pool, offsetting her otherwise excellent armor. She also lacks hydro and will struggle with dodging torpedoes. Now for the main armament. You get 4 quad 305/56 guns with a 22-kilometer range and a 26-second reload. You also have a 30-second 180 turret turn time, and you can fire 47 degrees off of the bow and 41 degrees off to the stern. The HE shell damage is 3,600 with a 76mm HE pen and a 27% chance fire chance. And the HE DPM is 133k. Now, the AP shell damage is 9,400 with a 21mm overmatch with a 45 through 60 ricochet angle with a 347k AP DPM. The ship has an average shell ballistics compared to the curve first in shell travel time, but it does have a battle cruiser accuracy, same accuracy as a Thunderer. It does though have awful turret firing angles, especially bad towards the front. It does have very good HE firepower, only slightly behind the Thunderer. Woo. And the AP performance is on par with the Yoshino, which is quite impressive. Now, the dispersion is shown on the top right for the 100 shots. Now, the Mecklenburg guns are amazing, especially considering she is a German ship. Unlike every other German BB, she is actually accurate due to her battlecruiser dispersion in the 2.05 Sigma. Her HE is also unusually strong, boasting a great fire chance and damage output, though still inferior to the Royal Navy BBs. While her AP cannot citadel BBs past 10 kilometers, they are extremely effective at punishing broadside cruisers. Broadside BBs will still take heavy damage from the AP from distance. The only thing holding her back is her awful turret firing angles, making it difficult to angle toward threats. Now let's move on to the secondary armament. The ship comes with 12 twin 128mm guns with an 8.3 kilometer base range and a max range of 12.5 kilometers. The shell HE damage is 1500 with a 32mm pen with 4-second reload. It has a very similar secondary battery to the Prussian, except Mecklenburg lacks the 150mm guns. While good overall, they are slightly inferior to other German BBs. In addition, her main guns are so good that the Mecklenburg doesn't need her secondaries to work. Still, they're still a viable option for players wanting to use their tech tree BB captains. Now let's move on to the torpedo armaments. Yes, you get 2 quad launcher 553mm torpedoes, 1 per side, that do 13,700 damage with a 6-kilometer range, 64 knot speed, and 90-second reload. Mecklenburg's torps are a useful niche weapon, allowing her to quickly deal with ships at point-blank range. Any ship that tries to ram her will instead be met with 4 torpedoes to the face. Keep in mind, a full salvo of torps will deal 40k to a BB, so you may still need a ram or drive-by healthy BBs. Now, for anti-air defense, it has 6 inner flak plus 2 outer, and the long range is 165 DPS, the middle is 375, and the near is 340. Now, surprisingly, the Mecklenburg's AA is surprisingly effective, actually rivaling the Vermont, which is one of the most effective AA platforms in the game. Now, for the most effective AA among the tier 10 BBs, it has a great damage output, longer range on her mid and close AA, and access to DFAA that lets her shoot down a significant amount of planes before they can drop their load. While it won't stop a good or determined CV player, it will exact a heavy toll on their reserves. As most players won't expect a German BB to have good A, expect to farm a lot of planes. Now, still be careful, as Mecklenburg is just as vulnerable as other German BBs to air attacks. Now, just to confirm with you guys, this AA is actually really good. It's pretty much rivaling the Vermont. And a lot of you guys that play the game know how good the Vermont's anti-air is, so I'm just trying to reiterate that this is huge. German battleships do not have well-known good anti-air. So the fact that this is going to be like one of the first German battleships to have decent anti-air, except like back during the RTS era, is huge. And it also makes it where a lot of CV players that aren't going to realize, hey, like most people when they see a German battleship, like, hey, this is an easy farm, anti-air is bad, we can easily farm this. Well, not for this ship. You can start farming the planes, and now that plane damage counts toward XP, and for earning credits, you can get yourself a lot of XP and credit bonus from this little ship. It'll be a lot of fun for sure. Now, the anti-sub warfare, you get 2 plane ASW charges with 11-kilometer range. They have 6 3100 damage. They have 6 3100 damage drops, 60-second reload. The Mecklenburg uses the German ASW airstrike, giving her one of the best ASWs in the game. Compared to other ASWs, she has the highest alpha strike with 6 depth charges, while still being able to store 2, which is pretty massive. Now let's move on to the maneuverability. The maneuverability of the ship has a base speed of 32.5 knots base speed, with a max possible speed of 34.1 knots. Now the ship does have a turning radius of 930 meters, with a rudder shift of 17.6 seconds. Now it does have a good top speed, inferior only to BBs with speed boost, and of course to Schlieffen. It does have a good turning radius, superior to most tier 10 BBs. It does have an average rudder shift time, which makes the Mecklenburg's maneuverability, which is respectable, if somewhat unremarkable, basically either good or average across the board. Let's move on to the concealment with Camos. The base surface detection is 17.1 kilometer base, with the aerial detection being 12.8 kilometers. Now, the best surface detection is 13.9 kilometers, with a 10.4 kilometer best aerial detection. One of the main issues with Mecklenburg is her surprisingly poor concealment, though better than other German BBs, it is high for a BB with such a low HP pool. It also makes it difficult to close to secondary ranges, so that's usually why I recommend more like building the guns and staying longer distance, because the ship has such a good sigma and such a nice dispersion. It's really easy for you just to stay out and just farm instead of having to risk getting close and losing your HP to close range targets or being farmed out. Now let's talk about the consumables. The ship has a standard BB damage control party with a 15-second immunity period and an 80-second reload time. It does have a standard BB repair party, which heals 0.5% of total HP for 28 seconds, with a 4 charges base with a 5 with the ERE. It does have a standard defense AA, 3 base charges, 4 with Superintendent, with the plus 50% continuous damage, plus 300% flat damage, with a 40-second active time and an 80-second reload time. Now, you are able to pick between a spotter plane or catapult fighter plane. I would say pick the spotter plane to be able to get that extra gun range, which is really, really nice. Now, you do get 4 charges base with a plus 20% main gun range, with a 100-second active time and 240-second reload time. Or you can pick the catapult fighter plane, which has 4 charges base with 4 fighters per squad, with a 60-second active time and a 90-second reload. Now, it mostly has a standard BB consumables, but it does lack hydroacoustics, which is typically seen on German BBs. Instead, she carries DFAA. This is kind of why I would say to stay further range, because if you get in close, you don't have hydroacoustics, you're gonna really suffer from torpedo attacks, from subs, from DDs. Now, let's go over my overall impressions. Now, I would say the ship has a low skill floor and a low skill ceiling. The ship is very good it's very good. It has excellent firepower and a good enough survivability if you don't play her like a German BB. For ranked, I would say an above average, very good firepower with the options of secondaries and torps for close-in fights. It does lack durability, which can be an issue though. For clan battles, I'd say essentially a cruiser taking a BB slot, unlikely to see significant use. Now, for her playstyle, it's essentially a Hindenburg cosplaying as a German BB. It's pretty much a super Marlboro. It's pretty much what people wanted in a Marlboro, but it's not. It's pretty much a super Marlboro or like a super Scharnhorst, pretty much. Her accurate main guns and lack of hydro, access to DFAA, and decent maneuverability are unusual compared to other German BBs, though at times she retains the poor turret firing angles and long-range secondaries. The Mecklenburg is best played as a battle cruiser, similar to other battle cruisers like Yoshino and Agir. Both of her shell types are great and should be chosen depending on the situation. AP is excellent for punishing broadside ships, and her HE is great against angled enemies. At the start of the match, it is best to play her similar to a kiting cruiser, kite the enemy and wear them down until you see an opening. When the enemy is sufficiently weakened, Mecklenburg can push in and use her superior secondaries and torps to win the ensuing brawl. Kiting enemies are still not safe, as her main guns still pack quite a punch due to their excellent accuracy. Remember that she does not have hydro, so be wary of the enemy DD seeking to torp your advance. Overall, she's an excellent super cruiser and well worth the cost. Players will be happy that they finally got an accurate German BB for once. Hallelujah is all I'm gonna say. But again, I would highly recommend this ship for the 31,000 steel. And now, as I've seen again, the little work in progress in the top left is because of the fact that the ship is currently still work in progress until the 11.4 update, which will be coming out in a few days. The reload is being changed from 25 seconds to 26 seconds, which is definitely not a significant change, and my stance does not change on this ship. But yep, I believe that's going to be it for the day. If you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But again, this is OverlordBou. I'm excited as hell for this ship, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Oh, big stretch, dude. Oh, big stretch, yeah.